Hey guys, welcome back to This Is What I Do with me, CD Zanda. We're in episode 10, and I just want to thank everyone who continues to show love on the episode and episodes and tunes in. Please don't forget to also hit that notification bell so that you're able to catch our new episodes. And don't just view, also do subscribe. We still need the numbers. And yes, it's getting there. We're growing, and as big as the podcast gets, we'll be able to take your recommendations on who you would want me to see sitting next to me on the next episode. Today's guest is one of my favorite people. He doesn't believe me when I tell him this, but he's definitely one of my favorite people. And he's here today to talk to me about all things supply chain and procurement management. And he's not just a person that is doing just that. He is got a few hidden talents, and we'll tap on them as the conversation continues. Mr. Reuben Khunou, welcome, sir. Welcome to This Is What I Do.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm well, thank you. Thank you for the invite.
Are you relaxed?
Yeah. I think so.
I mentioned hidden talents. We'll touch on them as the episode goes.
Yeah.
But I want to know, is the cat out of the bag? Are your people now aware that you have these other hidden talents? And how's life been now since they know you can do amazing things? You can cook, you can do this, you can host.
Yeah, I guess a number of people know. I have close friends, family, and associates, yes, that they've experienced. Some of them have experience from work environment, social circles, friends. Yeah.
It's been...
Yeah, it's going.
Yeah, no, I'm going to use you very soon. Don't worry, my request is coming.
Right.
To use the many hidden talents.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, growing up in Botswana. How was little Reuben, and what was he up to at that time?
Yeah, look, yes, Botswana. I'm sure born from Botswana and Mopedi.
Yes.
Mom Pedi, Dad Tswana. Spent of time, yes, went to school, did what I have to do, and here we are. We've gone through various industries in terms of work, experienced public sector, some bit of private sector, but in the main, your SOEs, mainly, I think, obviously in the supply chain environment.
Yeah, you grew up in Botswana. You studied in Botswana as well.
No, here.
Or you
SA.
studied here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, lived and studied here.
Yeah.
And Botswana, I've got a very close-knit family. We're always in contact in Pietersburg, Rustenburg, all over really. Yes.
You give off firstborn vibes. Are you the firstborn?
No, lastborn actually.
You?
Oh yes.
Oh my goodness,
yes.
you're so responsible.
Yes, mom's favorite lastborn.
You do not give off lastborn vibes at all.
Yeah, no, I've got an older sister. No, I'm the lastborn. I've got an older sister.
Okay.
Yes.
You have one of the most likable personalities. You're so welcoming, you're so warm. Who do you get this personality from at home? Mom, dad?
No, Mommy Dearest.
Yes.
Definitely Mommy Dearest Mom was not a socialite, but she loved people. Hosting, having family around,
yes,
going to family events and all sorts of things. And yes, she will take me with.
Now I see where you get it from.
Yeah, absolutely from Mom.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, there's a question I always ask people, and it's amazing to see that people never actually take the time to think about this. I always ask, growing up, who was that person that looked like success to you? And you would look at him or her and you say, man, I want to be that. I want to be him or her. Who was that person for you?
Sure. Wow. Okay.
You also haven't thought about it?
No, not to that extent.
It's a very important question.
Yeah. Certainly not to the extent of looking at my dad in many ways like that, but total appreciation more to my mom. Very close to my mother. When Dad left many years ago, being the last born, we had a lot of conversations. I think I'm a mama's baby, and very proud of it, by the way.
a proud mama's baby.
Absolutely.
You know, it's because you see someone, for example, people ekas will say, Uput Banbani with his Benz, Uput Banbani who used to work at a certain company and would bring us drinks, and that person just plants a root of waking up and making something of your life.
Yeah.
So those people are important. Or it could be a teacher at work that saw something. That's where I'm going with the question. It's always nice to think back, especially when you are younger, because we all have those people. We just don't take the time to think about them.
True. Maybe in the later part of our lives, I would say definitely there was someone. I mean, there is still my uncle who's married to my aunt. He's a role model.
How?
A typical role model of what encompasses a father, a dad.
Yes.
I think that's a space that perhaps was missing from my side, and total respect and adoration to him. Yeah.
He raised you.
Yes, literally. Yes. In more ways than one, definitely. Yeah, I grew up in the family.
Yeah. That's great. And you're a boy dad. Three beautiful boys.
3 boys.
What has been the biggest lesson of having 3 boys of different ages?
Different ages, for real, yes. I mean, you've got an adult, you've got a toddler, not a toddler, somebody going into puberty almost.
Yeah.
He keeps on reminding me about that he's got a bit of mustache and can I see his sideburns, which I don't see. And I've got an 8-year-old who just turned 8 yesterday, Ofense. Very proud, beautiful boys. I mean, Ulebukeng, Utsile, and Ofense.
What's the one thing? Like do you feel like you've changed or you learning lessons? What's the one lesson that you carry with you? You're like, ne?
Parenting. Parenting is key. It's a value. It's essential to who I am. It defines me. I wouldn't be who I am today at my senior age if I didn't have these boys. Certainly have made an absolute impact. Grown. Total admiration to them as my kids.
And you're a great dad. I've seen you.
Well, we tried. we tried. There's no manual for these things.
There isn't.
Trial and error.
You just do your best.
Yeah, I call them my monkeys. They don't like it, but they're stuck with me.
Yeah. I believe every parent always has a favorite, but you guys don't want to tell us. But do you have a favorite? Be honest.
Not quite.
Why don't you guys just say, I like you for this, but that one is my favorite? Why don't you ever say this?
No, I think you would have a situation where you would have an admiration of one because of the impact that they have or they've made to you as a father. I mean, my first son, he'll get to know that later when we talk about that invention of the book. But he's the first child who literally... that he changed my prefix from being Mr. to Dad. So for that, I have an admiration for him because then it's from there that now the second and the third comes through. They found me being a dad, and I learned from fathering him and on what to do and how to do it. But yeah, I think every child has his own challenges and his own impact that they make to their parents. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
Rubes, for anyone who doesn't know what you do for a living, what would you say you do for a living?
I work.
You wake up and do something?
I work and go to work, and yes, I'm still in supply chain, been in supply chain for a while now. We met many years ago, I don't know, how many now? 10, 20?
2010 World Cup. We met many years ago.
Yes, and I've been in supply chain. I think once you are in it, somehow there's a total admiration of what the discipline can do and is supposed to do. Said that it had to go through the challenges that you went through in the last, whatever they call those 10 years. But in essence, it really also shaped, the caliber of the person that we happen to be later on. Yeah, because it's a discipline, just like any other profession. It requires a level of thorough thinking, integrity, especially governance, was issues around ethics that one needs to really appreciate.
Yes.
Yeah, and especially if you have to go through different SOEs and see the challenges that they have. Sometimes
SOEs are state-owned enterprises.
Enterprises, yes, yes. I've been in aviation, I've been in pharma, I've been in forestry, a number of organizations, and you think you would think you're going to an organization is developed, systems are in place, processes are working, only to find that oops, they're probably 5 years or so behind, and you come up with different thinking, policies, procedures, and really saying the legislation has been there for so long. PFMA, triple PFA, all the regulations, and they have been there, but I guess it's either some organization would choose not to, or to just ignore and not take the heat from the AG or from National Treasury.
I want you to break it down for me properly and explain it as if you're explaining it to someone who doesn't know what you're talking about. Supply chain management, procurement management. What is what, and how do they work together?
Okay. Procurement is a leg within supply chain. Supply chain management, it has about 4 or 5. Procurement is one of them. Inventory, warehousing, logistics.
Okay.
They form part of supply chain. Contract management.
Supply chain is the umbrella.
That's correct.
Okay.
And all the processes are interlinked. There's a lot of collaboration that one goes through with them. You can either specialize in a particular, but in the main, I think the idea is to understand the entire process. Legislation is written within to advise on the process of the discipline. And you could choose to say, I love logistics, so therefore I'll either go into other transportation, and I'll deal with customs and Incoterms and all of that, or you go into warehouses where you will apply methodologies like your FIFO principles, first in, first out, where you look at stock management, or either you will procure. Procurement is quite diverse and very robust, because it's what you source, how you source it, from who.
Okay.
And the idea there, we're talking about total cost of ownership.
Yes.
Am I getting value for money for what I am buying, for either being a service or being a product?
So when you take that and you put it as a service for where I met you, working for a government department, how does that now play in your experience?
Yeah, look, from when we were at National, I mean, we managed transversal term contracts.
Okay.
A huge contract that the state would use to source products on behalf of government as a whole.
Products like what?
We did, at the time, we would buy vehicles for the state.
Okay.
I think it was called RT57.
Yes.
We buy pharmaceutical products for
Okay.
hospitals in the country, pharma, medical equipment. We buy stuff for the prisoners, a whole number of issues. So all other departments within government will bring in their demands and say, this is what we would need for the next financial year. So obviously the bigger the demand, the bigger you could negotiate on price. So those transversal term contracts were quite huge, very strategic in terms of government, in terms of the purchasing power, and once you get a service provider that can produce, supply, and provide you with what you need. That's for a period of either a year, 3 years, I think, even up to 5 years. So they were quite strategic, yes, because then you are able to plan, you are able to see your financial intake and spend as to where and how you're going to spend your money.
So you are responsible for a very big budget.
Well, not currently in where I am. I have been in the past in other entities. I mean, if you take in the aviation sector where one was at some point, yes, we used to buy things, your aircraft parts. They're quite expensive. They're not manufactured locally. Some of them, in the main, the engines, you either get an engine from Pratt & Whitney or the Rolls-Royce. So aircraft parts are quite strategic, obviously, and very, very expensive. You're dealing with different currencies because you buy in euros, convert it to our rands. You must have a multiple currency contracts. The logistics of bringing these products from overseas, how you bring them in to the country, do you fly them in if it's that agent?
Yes.
You've got a
Ship
downtown
them.
of an aircraft, yes, that is on the floor for X amount, and if the part is not there by a certain time, you would lose on time on revenue. So you would have to have partnership, obviously, around the globe that will be able to understand your demand and when and how you need to be able to satisfy it.
Wow, I'm learning something new and I want to bring something up. It's always a funny question that you meet people and they ask what you do, where do you work? And you say, I work in the public sector. And the one thing they always say, oh, supply chain. Are you there? Procurement. What is it about your space that business people find like they want to be close to someone who is working in your space? What is it about what you do that...
Yeah, it's actually a misconception, really, because
Clarify it.
Yeah, working for a government doesn't necessarily mean that you have the way or means of manipulating systems.
You can get
to
me a
favor
tender.
somebody else. Yeah, and I often obviously look down upon phrases that were used in the past or probably still, entrepreneur and all these sort of things that are not really. They're not really meaningful. There are processes in the system. There's legislation to guide you and to make sure that you execute the requirements of the department in a most sound, value-driven manner. And it's got nothing to do with anything else. I mean, yes, look, there are challenges that are still there, especially, I think, is areas around legislation. I think we need to now start to change. It's been 30 years. We've been practicing the same triple PFA, 80-20, 90-90.
Yes, and the time frames are not
you can't,
friendly on the ease of doing business at all.
Absolutely. I just think the 10 points that you are given in triple PFA and the 20 points for social goals are just too little to make an impact in terms of transformation. I am pro transformation, and yes, of course, you'll step on toes in some organization that doesn't want to transform, but you understand why you want to transform. You obviously need to be able to bring up those that were disadvantaged of the same skin tone as mine to the fore and say, yeah, opportunities. And there are opportunities. There are opportunities.
Just on opportunities, if someone is interested in transitioning into this field, or someone is listening to this episode and they are interested in what we're talking about, how does one now go about qualifying and being able to start a career in this field?
Study.
What do you study? Where do you start?
TVET colleges, technicons, universities have a number of qualifications in supply chain, and which are accredited. You've got organizations, agencies like SIPs that are globally known that could obviously excel your career space. But there's absolutely a number of training that one can do. But being that you obviously have to be on the job is one thing to have the qualification, but it's another than to practice exactly what that qualification requires you of.
So the qualification in logistics, from the top of my head, that's what I know. So you would have procurement as a subject, or how does it work?
Yes, you could have procurement as a subject, warehousing as a subject, inventory management. Those are just sub smaller subjects. But you study supply chain management as a whole. So you'll be exposed then to a variety of disciplines within, and that will help you to really expose yourself to either in government or private or in any other sector for that matter. Yes.
I remember you were doing your MBA. Abantu be-MBA bayakhala It is so hard. Oh my God, I want to quit every day. How was your MBA journey?
It is quite a challenge. It is quite a challenge, especially if you now trying to juggle studying, family life, and kids,
Yeah.
and all sorts of things. But like, it was one of my favorite space in my career to go back to class. I actually loved the fact that you
And
come back from work.
interact and have group
Yes,
classes.
group classes and fight with some people some students that are even older than you because they didn't submit their assignments. But it was quite a journey, but it's a beautiful learning curve. Absolutely, I would encourage anybody to.
And it was a great top up on top of everything else. How did it elevate?
I think it really, you think differently. That's more. I think the joke within the line is always that how do you know that somebody is doing an MBA? It's because they tell you that they're studying an MBA.
Trust me, they want us to know.
Yeah, but it is an elevation, definitely an elevation. Yeah, no, it propels you. You have a different thinking process. You question things differently. You look at all corners, all dimensions. It really exposes you. That's certainly, yes, it does.
And what's been a project that you've worked on that you've been proud of and you feel like there I worked?
Sure.
I know there's been so many.
Yeah. Look, what you take from the studies and you take from your work, you always it's all about. I think as you grow through your career, you now look at collaboration becomes more of something that you would do at senior management levels. Executive. You want to collaborate with so and so, and you know if a partnership with this. I'm in the space of CETA right now. If you want to buy laptops, for instance, IT equipment, you will go to the SITA, CETA, to source IT equipment from because they vet the suppliers, they do this. So there's a number of collaboration that one can look at from any perspective, really.
I always ask also this question on character traits. There's certain professions that require you to possess a certain character trait. And one that you just mentioned now that stands out for me is ethics. The type of responsibility that your field has really requires one who has a strong head on their shoulders because one mistake, you are going to jail.
Absolutely. Most certainly so.
You are going to jail there.
Correct.
Ethics and what else would you say are important personality traits?
My dissertation at Masters was, I looked at ethics, governance, compliance issues. Those were key for me. And because I think at the time that I was studying, we were going through the challenge of what the country was going through, where professions were questioned. If you listen to the Zondo Commission, literally every discipline, every career discipline was questioned. The auditors were questioned at Zondo. The lawyers were questioned on how some of them were not ethical. So I looked at that and I thought that was a topic that I really wanted to spend time on, which I did a lot of research on, and it really gave me an advantage in a sense that it enhances exactly what the legislative prescripts talks about. They talk about really just respect what the law says. Look at it. Look at all of us and say, why do you think this is best? Is it only on price? Is it on the service that you're going to get? But again, you look at as a person, there are values that are non-negotiable. And similarly, even just in a family setup, with me being a parent, my ethical conduct at work, I carry it at home as well as a father, having to father kids. They need to be able to know that, there's a certain conduct. Integrity is non-negotiable. I can't say to the kids, do this, and I come home on the opposite.
Very important because have you found yourself on the other side of the law? I can only imagine how much auditing and you guys go through.
Yeah.
Have you ever been called to the Zondo Commission? A moment where you felt like, I'm sweating. I know I've done everything right, but why am I sweating?
Yeah, there were situations where you had to explain certain things, and you think, oh my word, and I did tell them not to do this and not to do that. But so long as you know that from your side, you run it by the book, and in most instances when you do, you will not be a popular individual within the organization. You will be haunted. You'll be hunted
for doing the right thing.
For doing the right thing, unfortunately, and lots of people, sadly, have actually lost their lives even in the process. So we need to honestly give accolades to those that really stood the test of time and said, "I'm not moving. I shall report. I will be a whistleblower." And I know that there's some talks around whistleblowing in Parliament now to strengthen the Whistleblowing Act. And people are
there's
talking
a whistleblowing act.
Yes, there's a talk that the government or whatever Parliament is now looking at how best can they strengthen that particular, because there are whistleblowers that have really lost and been exposed
and lost their lives.
Yes, so there's a talk about incentivizing perhaps whistleblowers. But it will come out obviously through different legislative instructions.
When you think back, was there like an opportunity that just came to you and you wish you had taken it, and you feel like if I had done this, it would have elevated my life? Do you have that one thing that you wish you could have done, or an opportunity that you had but you could not take, that could have changed your career? Do you have those thoughts where you're like, ish, Yane, if I had taken that call to go to Australia, my life would be different?
They're always there, and hence where your question of where you stand in terms of a value as a person. If your values are more stronger, and you know what the benefits are, you'll always have those offers that comes with brown envelopes and all that, on all those trips to the Bahamas and the trips to wherever. But at the end of it is what is the bigger goal that we're trying to achieve as a country and as professionals?
Yeah.
And I mean, I am for professionalizing the supply chain profession. It should be. Actually, we are too slow there. We're talking with various colleagues and all to really speed up that process. But even that is not even enough. You can professionalize and accredit it, but again, it becomes a human element of saying you can write all the laws that you want, but it's who comes in, who is honorable enough to say, this is for the bigger picture and not for myself.
Transformation. Hey, at that moment, some people are thinking, hey, we're not talking about that now. We want to go to the Bahamas. It's very tempting. Very tempting field. And people have fallen off there.
Yes, a lot has.
People have lost livelihoods.
Absolutely. Professionals for that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Millions.
Hard-earned careers of spending 10, 20 years, they are now unemployable because they are now tinted with just one small wrong decision that they took. Quite sad. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I was gonna say, what are you most proud? You've indicated where you're not happy in terms of the direction we should be moving, that we're not. But what do you think we are doing right for supply chain and procurement in South Africa right now, from your experience, compared to other countries? Let's just stick to Africa. Compared to, I don't know if you work closely with certain African companies, but what do you think we are doing right that they are not?
No, I think we've got our legislative background is quite sound in all fairness. All the instructions, notes, practice notes, regulations coming out of both either the AG or National Treasury are quite sound. It's just the practice
Implementation.
the willingness to implement
Yeah.
what is right, practice it to the T. Where there are challenges, I think the team within National Treasury are quite open for any discussions. We are in constant communication with them on various matters. So I think we just need to now move slightly, in my view. We haven't moved as much as I thought we could in the last 30 years, especially on transformation issues. Our regulation is slightly still restrictive because you only have 10 points, 20 points of social goals to play around with when you adjudicate bids over 1 million. I still think that should change somehow.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. On a lighter note, you're also Chef Rubes. You've been cooking for a very long time.
Yes.
What is it about cooking that makes you happy? How did that now come about as an interest? Because you are quite the cook, if I might say so myself.
Thank you.
And you cook with passion. What does cooking do for you?
Makes me happy.
Makes you happy?
Yes. That's it. It just makes me happy. I'm happy to be in the kitchen. I'm happy to be dancing and playing my music and having my little glass of healthy water.
Lies.
And really
Healthy water.
Healthy waters. Yeah, no, I think. Oh no, it just changes my total mood and character.
You feel like yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I belong in the kitchen.
You belong in the kitchen.
You're right. You're right. I mean, from back in
You've
Soweto.
always been cooking.
Yeah. I know my mom was a great influence, and she made sure that before she comes back from work, the house is clean, the food is cooked, her tea is ready. So you carry on with this. You don't know where it's going to end, and yes, I've had very beautiful moments, and now my last born offenses seem to enjoy it. We cook a lot, and he likes posting. He'll be the one reminding me, how many followers now, Dad? Like, okay, just check there.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it.
And you want to turn it into a business now? Tell us more about that.
Yes,
and
I do.
what it looks like for you.
It's just, I guess, friends really, mostly now, it's more friends asking for either there could be a function, small little intimate function, which I enjoy. We'll discuss menus and what they would like, and we go through the
So like the
types.
concept of a private chef.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't do mass production really. Not that I can. Yeah, I think it doesn't really much appeal for me. But small, little, intimate, 20 I think max would do, because then because I'm OCD, literally I want attention to detail.
Yes,
the
you
first
are.
plate that you produce
Yes, you
and
are.
you present must be the same as the 20th plate. So I enjoy that, taking people through the food and saying, this is how I prepare this dish, this is how it's called this because of that. I enjoy that very much.
So this is a catering business.
It is a catering business. It's not full on, really. It's more, for now, really close friends and family members. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I enjoy it. I cook every day.
Every day.
Where I get the energy from work, straight into the kitchen.
So you must be like the worst critic when you go to restaurants. You know, people that know how to cook, they'll be saying, who's the chef? Yeah, please call him or her.
Yeah.
What is this? You don't make an egg like this.
Yeah. No, you do have a different view now. You look at things differently.
Yeah.
And I think even the word chef, I don't necessarily even prefer to be called a
Home
chef.
cook.
Yeah, I'm a cooker. I roll sleeves. And
You know this thing of calling, sorry to cut you, chefs, the actual chefs that went to school, they don't like it because there's Michelin star chefs now. It's a process. And then you, with your passion, you start calling yourself a chef. They don't like it.
Yeah, I'm a cook. That's all that it is. Yeah. I fold my sleeves. I read
you know, as black
menus.
people will call you a chef.
Yeah, just because. You just read menus, read recipes, and play around with ingredients. And you don't. Yes, it is quite expensive. It can be quite expensive. I've seen with a spice like not harissa. What's this again that you get in a small little thingy? You get it for like 89 rand in some stores, and there are like 5 little strains in there, but it brings a different flavor and color.
And you care about that.
Yeah. It can be expensive, but for the love of the food, yes.
And you learn. I mean, cooking is not like you don't cook from your head all the time.
Yeah.
You learn from other people as well.
Absolutely. TikTok has helped. The internet as a whole. I buy lots of books, and I recently, I think it was 2 years ago, so I met the lady who used to cook for Tata Madiba. She even published a book. Oh, she took me through how she used to cook for Tata. Oh, what a beautiful stories. And when you listen to this, like, wow, the passion.
It's an experience.
It is absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
You mentioned books, another hidden talent.
Well, no, I guess, I don't know whether it's a talent or not, but it's more just a book that I have been, it really took me quite a while. It's more to share experiences and stories around parenting, more especially for fathers. Everybody's talking about absent dads, absent fathers. I would like to believe that there are very much present dads out there.
I agree with you.
And the fact that I chose to get custody of my kids, at least the first 2, and to raise them, it's a choice that anybody can make. So it's more to encourage fathers out there with kids to say, look, if things don't work out between me and mom, it's okay, but for the bond that I have created, I need to take care of this bone. And when I did the research, I remember on issues around the absence of a mom or a dad on a boy child, on a girl child. The impacts are crazy, what these guys are saying. And I try to bring that through the book. And also, I think legislatively, in my view, I found our courts were quite fair. At least in my
Very fair.
in my chance. Yeah, they didn't just
Very fair.
automatically the child does not necessarily belong to your mom. No, you give birth because you've got the womb. But I don't. But when the child is born, that child belongs to both those parents. And it's a choice you make to say, I will stand the course, I shall raise this child, and not be an absent ATM dad and all sorts of names that we get to be named.
Yeah, it's a very important question. I always call South Africa a fatherless nation. So many absent fathers, so many fathers that want to be called father but do not want to parent. They want to be called dad, but they don't want to parent. And people get mad when on Mother's Day, some people will say on Father's Day, some people will say to the moms, Happy Father's Day to the moms. Because the dads, they have made themselves ATM dads. They just take out the money and come for 2 hours and say, oh, no, you've grown, thank you, bye. You know, it's a real issue. But you know what? I like how men are stepping up.
Yeah.
Men are good dads. Men are present dads. And the roles, you know, you see men that go and fetch their kids, they cook breakfast, they do homework, all the things that were made to look like were responsibilities of a female.
Yes.
Dads today, shem.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
You're right, Sidi. I mean, my first child was 2.5 when we divorced with mom, with his mother. He's 24 today. And you can imagine how many life changes and challenges that one has gone through at school. The child is just a teenager or he's just a toddler. He looks up in a choir or in a school function and looks for a parent out there. And imagine for a child that with no parents having to attend that conference. I mean that school function. How sad that child feels, and for the one that looks up and see his mother waving and his dad waving, the impact. I've gone through those experiences, and they've made me who I am today. Really, just being a proud father. Yes, there've been lots of tears and all, pulling off your hair, not knowing exactly sometimes where where the next meal might be coming from, but you ride and die with your kids.
So what's the plan? Where would your focus now be with the book? Parenting on its own, the ups and downs, and where else do you want to go with this?
The book is more to encourage fathers who wants to really be present in their kids' lives, but somehow you have your gender, not making it very easy for some of us to be part of that.
Yes,
and I'm saying to the brothers out there, approach the courts. Approach the court and stand your ground as a parent.
And they're very fair.
Yeah.
They are very fair.
Yes. It's not the color of your suit and tie that you'll wear for the day, but when you get a court,
Best interest
it's about
of the
saying
child.
what is in the best interest.
That is it.
Yeah. Because even if I have full custody, it doesn't necessarily mean mothers are blocked to access the kids. No. The law is very clear that that access is a right for any parent to say, you, by all means, have the right to be in touch and in contact with the child, see how they grow and how they progress. But most of the time, some people make choices that are not really favoring the kids, and it's quite a sad one.
And there's many platforms, a lot of platforms. There's one that I told you about. Men are, what do you call, mobilizing. There's a successful men's conference. I had a guest here, a DJ, Chama Music. He pulled off South Africa's first men's conference was a concept.
Yes.
When women are pissed off at men and they'll say, please send them. It's like a prison. But send women's conference. So he actually started a men's conference.
Yeah.
It's well attended.
Sure.
He's on his third or fourth one.
Wow.
You know, on the socials, it's a great start, and we are not invited. Asiko.
Yes,
The
we need to speak.
speakers
Yeah.
on matters of what you talked about, parenting, maintenance, grooming, brotherhood. It's he says people can cry if they want to. You know, you it's a safe space. You are vulnerable.
Absolutely.
I can only imagine how that must be. Because when things are happening to you as a man alone, you feel like yenzeka kuwe kanti sibaninzi. So that space is very important.
Absolutely. It's important for us to talk, to have an avenue where we can explore and really release. Because we've been told and been brought up with this, men are tough and tigers don't cry. Oh, no, I don't believe in that nonsense. I'm very emotionally inclined. I'm in touch with my feelings. My kids know, they see me. There are times where I would miss my mother, passed about 3 years ago. I still share a tear from time to time, or I'll take them to the grave. So it's important that especially when you're raising boys, because they see me, that yes, as much as he can get upset and shout at us, he's also in touch with his feelings. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if you're not emotionally balanced, then how do you approach the other gender and say, hey, I am this? And we've been socialized differently, of course. Depending on the generational gap, for some of us that are now in the senior stages of our lives, we were told this, and a man does this. There are certain fundamentals, yes, true, that are expected out of you as a man, as a father, to lead from the front, provide, and all of that. But hey, you can also hug. You can also share love. Express the love that you have for your kids. They must hear you saying, "I love you. You did well. Wow, I'm proud of you." Yes. I used to enjoy little kisses from my sons. Now he's 8. He doesn't want to kiss me anymore. He goes, "No, Dad." I'm like, "Oh, but you're still my baby." "No, Dad, I'm now 8. Like, okay, so what? But it's such a beautiful experience. Absolutely beautiful experience for anyone. I mean, in the book I talk about fathers being present when their kids are born. It is absolutely critical to be in
I
that
wonder what the
delivery room.
stats say just about that alone. How many fathers were there when their children were born?
I know friends
Dismal, I'm sure.
I know friends that there was a guy that was born. I mean, my first child was born, and I encouraged this guy. We happened to be in the same hospital, so I come out and I say, "Sure, what an experience! You must go in. And the wife just went in labor. the guy came out there, I think, smoking about 3 or 4 cigarettes at one point. I laughed. It's a traumatic experience, yes. But for me, in the book, I say, once you have seen what a mother goes through giving birth to your own child,
Newfound
it changes
respect.
your perspective
Definitely.
about women. You can never lay hand, you can never shout, you can never abuse, you can never have all this nonsense that we see happening now. You have a total appreciation of somebody that gave you a child, that gave you a son, a daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out to a fellow podcaster. There's a podcast that I'm really enjoying now. It's called That Husband Podcast. Love it. I'm gonna plug you on it.
Okay.
I mean, the husbands are sharing husbanding, and it's honest conversations.
Yeah.
I watched an episode last night, and the last guest, I think, was saying, there is a letdown that happens when there's a changing that happens in a little boy when your father disappointed you when you were young. And that thing, you carry it until you become a husband. And for you to become a better husband, you need to go to where that little boy died. That disappointment. That thing touched me because it's applicable to women. It's applicable to women. You need to revisit why you are so hard, why your walls are so high. Because there were things where your father figure let you down. But on the perspective of husbanding, the guy says men are so scared to touch on the corners, the things that happened to them that have made them towards this way, towards now being a wife. Small things like I would see my mom get beaten up by her boyfriend and she would stay. Now, when he says where you died there, you need to now deal with the fact that how did that make you feel? How has this changed or made you better towards being the husband that you're? It's very profound, very important conversation. I applaud the guy who started that podcast.
Right.
Very important. I foresee one coming up just based purely on the topic of, it probably exists already, the topic of your book. I mean, the platforms are endless. People are talking, very important.
It's important that we come out. We can't be holding back for no really reasons and just allow the narrative that men just don't take care of the kids. Men are this. We are labeled all sorts of terms that are just not polite. I was with my son some years ago. There were some ladies, a lady group, an action group next to, I think it was in Greyston, and they had placards with them chanting there. One of the placards had written, "Men are dogs." Wow.
Men are trash.
Men are trash, men are dogs. So my son sees this and says to me, "Dad, are you trash?" Now, this is not, my child doesn't know me as trash or even as a dog for that matter. And I went to this action group and I asked for who was leading it. And I asked, why would you write something like this? My son is now asking, can you please answer him? Only then the lady said, oh no, I didn't mean you. I said, but I didn't know who you meant. You are standing on the corner of a busy road and you are chanting this because of some narrative that you are promoting. Not all of us are this. How do I answer now a child who is growing,
do you unpack?
Exactly, absorbing all this and say, but my father I've never seen my father being a dog or being a trash. And socialization and the narrative of where we are sometimes is just not healthy. And we need to correct it and stand against it as men. Oh yes, as fathers for that matter.
No, actually. How do you even unpack men are trash to a little boy? It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah, all the best on the book.
Thank you.
Invite us to the launch when you launch it.
Yes, ma'am.
How soon can we expect it?
I've been postponing. It was supposed to have been done, I think, 3 years ago for that matter. And Mom passed and that...
delayed.
Then that got delayed. And so... I think I'm now at the ready stages. It's been proofread now, so and you get a publisher.
Okay.
And go through the all the processes of publishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for making time.
No, thank you.
And I wish you all the best.
No, many thanks to you. You are doing well yourself. I mean, wow, looking at you and thinking, huh? I remember what you have done so
that
well.
That little girl.
Hey. No. You are flying. You are flying, and
Thank
keep on
you.
flying. Keep
Thank
on
you
flying.
so much.
No, enkosi.
Diabulela. Guys, thank you so much. That's a wrap. Please do subscribe. Subscribe. We need them. Don't just view. Also subscribe. Let's see each other soon. It's a wrap. Thank you. Bye.